What is up, Freedom Inc. family? So, I'm going to do a response, partial response. Well, back that up. Video is going to be partially a response. Second half is going to be a topic that I've talked about 6 million times. I'm going to try to simplify it though, because people are not seeing what's really going on in the world. Excuse me. So, first and foremost, my belief in Christ, Jesus. I've said it 1,000 times before. Yes, I definitely believe there was a man named Jesus that walked the earth and did miraculous things. But I have no faith in the Bible whatsoever. Zero. None. Zilch. I've explained this too. Why? The closest version of the English Bible to the original text is supposedly the King James 1611. The original text was allegedly in Hebrew, from what I know. If I'm wrong, let me know. Hebrew is translated to Greek. They have words that are not the same, or there's no word in one language to translate to the other language. So somebody filled that void with a word that they thought should go there based on whatever their thought process was at the time, based on what was being said from what they knew. Then it was translated from Greek to English. Same thing. Words that there's no a word in Greek that it doesn't translate to a word in English, so somebody, whoever translated it, decided to put whatever word they wanted in there. My problem with that is that one word can totally change what a sentence means. One sentence can totally change what a verse means, and one verse can totally change what a book means. And if you look at, the copyright law, look back at, the Queen of England and copyright the Bible and all that stuff, or doing the copyright, creating the copyright because of the Bible. I just have problems with it. I have problems with anything that man's touched. Why? Because I have no faith in man. Why? Because men are stupid. You have the stupid group, and then you had the manipulative group, and then you have a very small group that do neither. So there is my reasoning with it, and I don't have to have any faith in the Bible. I don't have to believe this book that man wrote in order to believe in my God. And maybe my God and your God's not the same God, even though they may go by the same name or have the same son, or maybe some of the same stories are true about them. So now that that's out of the way, actually it's going to be a 3-part video. Man's law and God's law. God's law is nature's law, natural law. I mean, everybody knows that. There's certain things that you just inherently know as a human that are good and bad. It's good to help people, bad to murder people. When you follow man's law or enforce man's law over God's law, how do you think God's going to react when you enter those pearly gates to be judged? Or you get to the pearly gates, you're probably not going to enter them. Do you think God's going to say, I gave these gifts of life, I gave the gift of natural rights, I gave the gift of freedom, and you enforced it because government said so? How happy do you think he's going to be with that? I would say not very happy. I think there are far less Christians going to heaven than what we believe. I think it'll be a really small minority. This is all just a test for us. And finally, don't remember what I was doing with the other thing now. See, that's what happens when I start talking. I forget what else it was. Well, damn it. It was important too. Not really, but it was sort of important. Don't remember. If I remember, I'll make another video. Got a lot on my mind today. Got a lot going on. Got a broken foot, I think. So we're going to try to deal with that today. Don't know how we're going to deal with it because I ain't wearing a fucking mask. I've been walking on it now since last week. But it's not getting better. It's getting worse. Pain is starting to travel. Swelling is starting to get worse. Like I have muck boots on right now. I can barely get my leg in them with my foot. My jeans, I had almost had to cut them this morning to get my jeans on because the leg of my jean wouldn't go over my calf. And we'll see how that turns out. But it is what it is, But I'm just going to keep on going, keep doing what I'm doing. Been working mostly 7 days a week. Even the days that I don't work, I'm still working because I'm out been in jobs and shit like that. Just been another job today. Got a big job coming up next week. Got a big job. I've already got the job. I haven't even gave a bid on the job yet. The dude's like, "You got the job," just because I've done work. I'm starting to work for people. People are starting to get to know me. You know, I have such a bad rap because I'm an asshole and because of my history. Like, people don't give a shit about that. You know, I talk to people about my history all the time. Like, I get in these conversations with people, and I don't lie to them. And like, some of these people, like, you know, believe it or not, in the Middle Tennessee, there are some $1 million homes out here. I just did a job for the tree job last week for some people that they have a really nice home. Well, it's not $1 million home. I bet it's a $500,000 home. And I told them I would do something, and I completely forgot about it. So they called me yesterday, and they're like, "Hey, can you still do that?" I'm like, "Shit, totally my bad. I'm sorry. Forgot about it." So I go over there to pick up this bed liner that they just want off their property, and they're like, "Well, we have all this other shit too." I'm like, "Okay, throw it in the truck. I'll take it all. I'll get rid of it all for you. I'll just leave it right down the road for the people, so it's not really that big of a deal." But then she tried to hand me like whatever amount of money it was. I'm like, "Keep your money. I don't want your money." She's like, "No, take it. It'll make me feel better." I'm like, "Well, in the world we live in, my feelings matter most, and it make me feel better if I didn't. What would really make me feel good is if you took that money and you helped somebody that you normally wouldn't help." These are really church-going people, so what her husband said next, kind of wasn't what I meant, but he said, you know, when we go to church Sunday, we'll do that. Meaning he'll donate the money to church. Not really what I meant. Not very fond of the church. The church is corrupt, and the people in the church are corrupt. It is nothing but the like show face. I've seen it over and over again. I've been to every kind of church that there is. I was raised Catholic. I then, in my teenage years, visited missionary Baptist churches a lot. I had a girlfriend that went there, and that was the only way I could see her at the time because her parents are fucking idiots. The same parents the father that would be preaching literally on Wednesdays and Sundays and drinking Jack and watching porn on Mondays and Fridays. Real shit. And like talking about it. Like, just, you should see this. Anyway, don't even matter. So, but whatever, you know. But people are, you know, it's just, this is, hopefully it'll take off to where I feel like I want to do it full time. I don't know if I do or not. I turned down a lot of jobs. I just turned down a job the other day, just because I think that there's people out there that could do it better than I could, or could charge less than I could, or I just don't want to do it. You know what I mean? There's some jobs that just, it's not worth the time for whatever reason. You know, for instance, I just gave a guy a price on a job. I gave him a price way lower than what I would have because he has something that I want. I talked to him the other day about doing some trading because he has a bunch of work needs done. I need a trailer. He's got a trailer he hasn't used in 5 years that he's wanting to sell. So I'm like, hey, let's do some horse trading. Man, my labor for, which was really not horse trading because I'm the horse. I said, my labor for your trailer. He's like, well, we'll talk about it. So hopefully we can get that off and just keep rolling. Damn, I wish I could remember what I wanted to talk about because it was lightweight. It was what I started to make the video about, and then I forgot, and then the other shit came up. Don't know. I don't know. People need to just start opening their eyes to what's really happening, though, and who controls you. You know, how are you free? And how are government agents not bad when they could pull up right now? I'm sitting at work, just sitting in my truck doing nothing. I haven't done anything down here that would even be considered a crime. But if they pulled in right now, they jumped out of their car and they pointed guns at me, finger on the trigger, of course, because that's what they do, and told me to get out of the truck and get on the ground, I would have two options. Do as I'm told. Is that freedom? I mean, like, really, is that freedom? Because when you tell people, like, about the cops are like, well, they won't bother if you don't break the law. And my first reaction to that is, you ain't never fit the description. I'm a 6 foot wide dude, weighs 220 pounds. I fit the description all the time. All the time. I have fit the description and been placed on the ground for crimes that I had nothing to do with, I would bet 10 times in my life. At gunpoint, of course. Is that freedom, though? No, it's not. So your second option is to fight. And you would be right to fight because you had done nothing wrong and you now have criminals pointing guns at you. But even if you won at this second in that fight, you are still going to die because of that fight. They're going to come after you with the full force of their gang until they kill you. And even like the cop in Florida said for Polk County, if you shoot a cop, we are going to kill you. No arrest, no trial, no jury. So now cops are admitting that they are the executioners. And you know, with the qualified immunity that they have, they do what they want. You know, for instance, if you know all these good sheriffs, right? Everybody thinks sheriffs are good for some reason, and they're not. Nothing about it. The sheriffs today are constitutional. You know, don't pay your property taxes for 3 years. It's about how long it takes them to catch up for you for property taxes. No matter where you live at, it's about 3 years. Down here, my property taxes are, I think, $119 a year for 12 acres. Not much. Some people would say, why don't you just pay it? Why? Because it's my property. I'm not paying you for my property, especially when there's services that allegedly this money goes toward that I don't want, need, nor use. We have no use for that in my family. If my kids need to go to the hospital, I'll take them. If they cut their leg off, I'll get them together and get them to a hospital. I don't need EMS. And plus, you call the EMS in my house, you're going to die before they get there. But those good cops, you know, sheriffs are good, right? Will come to your house if you refuse to leave the property that you got your blood, sweat, and tears in, that you paid for with your own money. If you refuse to leave, they will go as far as to kill you over, in my case, what would amount to about $360. So the real question is, you know, people are going to say, well, why wouldn't you just pay the land tax? Well, why don't they just pay it so they don't have to kill somebody? I mean, they're good cops, right? I know it's not their responsibility, but then again, it's not my responsibility either. You know, I think that we should start counting the votes. You know, when somebody doesn't vote, that is a vote. Let's start counting those votes. Guess who's going to win every time? I don't know. It's falling apart. You know, we've been talking about this shit for years. Since I started the channel, we've been talking about like what is coming, what you're going to have to deal with, and every problem you have. I challenge anybody here's the challenge of the day. I've given this challenge 100 times before. Tell me one problem, just one, that you have with government that does not involve some asshole who is wearing a badge, or some asshole who is backed up by an asshole wearing a badge. So, like, for instance, some child support agencies, or some CPS, Child Protection Services, don't have badges, but they're backed up by the fuckers with the badges, and they act like they're cops and shit. Even the EMS today act like they're cop. You know, now, you know, like I said before, cops show up on medical things. Your dad's having a heart attack, the cops will show up first, and they literally stand there and watch. When dude got shot at the hotel, and I'm sitting there trying to save him, which I don't know if I saved him. He's still alive, we'll put it that way. He might have lived anyway. But when I was trying to help the guy, there were 3 cops there before the EMS ever showed up. And not one of them fuckers jumped in to help me. Not one. The one idiot jumped, fucking pulled some chest seals out. I'm like, dude, like, we're already past that, bro. I didn't got the shirt cut off him, or we already passed that. Anywho, y'all have a good day. I'm going to try to start making videos about stuff. Just, like I said, when it comes to this kind of stuff, like, it's all been said. What's there left to say? I mean, now it's just, I guess, trying to show people how to, stand up for themselves. I don't know. You have to put something first in your life. What's first in your life? A lot of people are going to say family. Some people are going to say God and then family, which is kind of fucked up. I think God would want you to put your family before Him, in all honesty. But whatever, that's your deal. Those same people that are enforcing man's law over God's law, so what they say really don't matter. But anywho, have a good day and stay safe and stay armed, because the Goon Squad, if you want to be free, will be eventually coming for you. Might not be today, maybe not tomorrow. But there will come a day where your card would get pulled. And when that day comes, you're going to have a split second to make a decision. And what's it going to be? But here's what I want to tell you from experience. If you don't practice leading up to that, you will fail in the decisions that you make. So, like, what's most important to me is not breathing. What's most important to me is to be free, and for my kids to be free, to be able to live our lives how we choose. If that means me dying, I'm completely fine with that. I'm content with that. Like, back to the Christians. There are Christians as a whole, and most people will do absolutely anything they can in order to not have to meet the God that they supposedly believe in. This is some truth. They will do absolutely anything they can. They'll try to look younger. They'll take, or try to get on an organ donation list and all this other shit. And whatever else, whatever other medical procedure, just to not have to meet their God. And then when it comes down to it, people, they fear death. How do you fear death if you're a Christian? Like, I have no fear of death. I did for a long time. I would venture to say that I did a little probably up until Nick died. And then after that, it was just kind of like, you know what? This means more to me than my life. Who knows? Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and it'll all be peachy. Probably not, though, because everybody loves their state hired thugs.